Something brought you to this video right now. Maybe it's frustration, maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's that deep down you know you're meant for so much more. Whatever it is, do not ignore it, because what I'm about to share with you changed everything for me. They're called the 4 P's of performance. And that's exactly what took me from a broke pharmacist to making over 7 figures a year as a sales professional. And now I'm going to show you how to use them to become unstoppable, no matter what you're shooting for. Number 1 is push. Back when I was building my business as a copywriter, I was called into the army. I remember the exact day. The letter landed, I open up the envelope, and I see that my grace period was over. Age 28, I was forced to step into the military for 9 months. I was worried, I was scared, I was thinking about my copywriting clients and my business, that everything I've built would go to waste. And that's where I faced the choice. I had to ditch my business or push myself to become Chris 2.0. My first thought was, well, this is too much work. I'm gonna probably get in trouble if they catch me with a laptop. I'm in the military, for crying out loud. I'm supposed to carry a rifle around and shoot at targets and train. How am I going to work? But something deeper said, if you can do this, you can do anything. I realized I could use military structure as my forcing mechanism instead of turning it into an excuse. So what I did was I hid my laptop. I was hiding it under lockers. I was hiding it under my pillow. And when I could find a spare moment, I was working, I was practicing, I was handwriting sales letters. When I was out of the military for a break for 5 hours at a time that we had, I was forcing myself to sit down at a cafe, pay $3 for a coffee, the only money that I had that they gave us, and I was sipping on the coffee. I was forcing to do any task that I do until I was back in. 9 months later, I came out of the army with clients to a thriving business, and it was better than before. That's when I realized that success isn't determined by your circumstances, it's revealed by them. And that's the first P of performance, push. The biggest lie we tell ourselves is, I'll work harder when life gets easier. But the truth is, it never gets easier, it just gets different. And that's what turns people into high performers. It's not the amount of natural talent that they have or the luck they've run into, it's their drive to keep going when things get tough. Because when you're waiting for easier times, winners are using the hard times to get ahead. So here's exactly what you need to do to develop that drive. First, identify your non-negotiables. Write down the 3 to 5 activities that if you do consistently will transform your life. For me, it was handwriting out sales letters, reaching out to prospects 5 every single day, and studying my craft, and also exercising every day, doing at least one activity that gets my heart rate up. Now, you have to make this sacred. Every single day, no Sunday, no Saturday off. These are non-negotiables, everything else is negotiable. Second, create forcing patterns. So use external pressure to make success easier than failure. I used military curfew. Finish up my copy or end up in military jail because you're not gonna make it in time. Set up systems where backing out costs more than pushing through. So examples are public commitments, financial stakes, accountability partners. I know a guy that told his friend that if he didn't run a half marathon by end of the year, he's gonna have to get a back tattoo. So that's gonna give some fire under your behind. Third, practice discomfort daily. Take cold showers when you don't want to. I mean, you don't have to, but it will make you more disciplined. Work out when you feel tired. Have the difficult conversations you've been avoiding. Build the muscle of doing hard things when you don't feel like it. Now, most people think about having drive is about grinding 24/7 until you burn out. The real secret is knowing when to step on the gas and when to step off. The second pillar is pause. So here's what I do. Every 6 weeks, I step away from work. I take my wife and we escape to a fancy hotel. It has to be 5-star. We do nothing else. Where we need to break the routine completely. This intentional pause allows me to go as hard as I can at my work and then have a weekend refuel. So I use this time to reset my mindset and reflect on what's working, what's not working, and am I acting as the person that I want to become? When I return, I'm 10x sharper and more focused than I left. That break from routine becomes the fuel that powers the next sprint forward and the next sprint forward. So that's where I learned that stepping away from your routine doesn't mean stepping away from work. It's actually where the real work happens. This is why the second P of performance is pause. The modern world has brainwashed us. Like we need 12-hour days, 7 days a week to win. That's far from the truth. Hustle mindset is turning you into a reactive machine rather than a strategic thinker. We become so busy responding to every single asshole that we never address the important things. That's how we lose our edge. Now, not everyone can go to a hotel every 6 weeks, and when I didn't have any money, I didn't do that. But here's what you can do instead. Schedule sacred blocks. So block 90 minutes of deep work with zero distractions. Treat these as unmovable. Agree with your future self. Nothing will break my focus for 90 minutes. Remove devices, take off notifications, cover the windows. Focus on breakthrough thinking, not busy work though. Then practice the pause breath. Every single time you have a stress signal coming in, take 3 deep breaths before responding. So this accesses your prefrontal cortex instead of your lizard brain. So you can use your breath as performance optimization, not meditation. This is where your freedom lives, the space between the trigger and the response. My third tip for you is create buffer zones. So build 15-minute buffers between meetings and tasks. Prevent constant reaction mode living. Use these buffers to have a mental state reset. Give yourself a breath, the space to create transitions between contexts, to go from a sales meeting to creative work, 15 minutes, then more sales meetings, then another creative work. So you need to be able to switch gears in between the different tasks that you do with these 15-minute buffers. But strategic pausing in these tips only works if you have the right network around you that support your vision, because the wrong relationships will pull you back faster than any productivity system can save you. Which brings me to the third P. And this is actually something that happened about 2 months ago, which reminded me why this is so important. I was coaching a guy who had been paying me for coaching, and he was about 2 months away from having lifetime access to me. It was a special offer that I made. But he chose to leave. About 1 year later, I get a voice note from him. And what the voice note said is, he actually apologized. He's like, well, Chris, I'm 100% sorry that I left, because what happened until this point is I got sucked into hype, I got a lot of empty promises, and I burned through a lot of money. So he came back broke, discouraged, and full of regret, now working a 9 to 5. He said, if I just stayed close, I would have been successful by now if I just stayed with you. He'd invested in scammers, bad leadership, and ended up in that 9 to 5. This connection that we had would probably transform his life. I would have gotten him into a sales offer and, more good things to come. And I'm not saying that to put him down at all. He's a killer and I know he'll turn things around. But it just goes to show that in business and in life, the cost of breaking a profitable connection or burning through a bridge might be a lot higher than you think. So if you haven't guessed it yet, the third P of high performance is people. We think we can always rebuild relationships later, but just like making money, relationships compound over time. And when you leave meaningful connections for shiny new objects, you're not just losing the relationship, you're losing and killing your progress. The highest performers understand that your network doesn't just influence your money, it shapes your entire reality. The people around you either raise you up in terms of your standards or they force you into being average or below. So here's what you need to build meaningful connections. First, audit your inner circle. List the 5 most influential people in your life around your thinking and your behavior. Ask yourself, are they pushing you towards your best self or are they enabling comfort? If someone isn't actively investing in your growth, they're passively undermining it. So make intentional choices about who gets access to your mind. Second, prioritize depth over breadth. Choose deep connections over freaking networking events. Ask hard questions instead of surface level check-ins. Make hard interactions valuable for both parties. Don't make it just transactional. Focus on understanding them, not just being understood. The third piece is create psychological safety. Be the person others can be honest with. Don't bullshit around. Share the truth. Share your struggles, not just your successes. Use vulnerability to give others permission to be vulnerable with you. Build environments where truth is welcomed, not punished. Number 4, invest before you need to. Add value to others' lives without expecting a return. Build a relationship through the good times, not just in crisis moments. Consistently show up for people who matter and base connections based on genuine care, not manipulative reciprocity. Now, even if you have the right people supporting you, there's still one thing that stops most people from reaching their potential. And that leads us to the fourth P. With very few exceptions, you'll see that successful people are into fitness. Guys like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, every top performer is getting into fitness. It's not a coincidence. It tames their mind. For me, every time that I don't work out for 2 days, I see my mood getting worse. I start getting more snappy. I start overreacting to my emotions. I lose control of my body and my mind goes wild. I learned that the foundation for everything else you want to build is your body. Because when your physical state is strong, your mental state focus. And that's why the fourth P of performance is prime. Because when you prime the body, you unlock the mind. But most people treat their body like an afterthought. They get too busy, they start skipping the gym, and then all of a sudden, they're in a slump. Your body is the vehicle that carries your ambitions, your creativity, and your capacity to perform at a high level. When you avoid it, everything else suffers. Now, you can make all the excuses that you want about your time. Other people are using their bodies to create mental clarity. So for you, what do you need to do? Establish non-negotiable movement. Commit to moving your body every single day, even if it's just 15 minutes. Get your heart rate up. Consistency builds intensity here when you're starting out and building the foundation. Use movement to reset your mental state, not just build muscle. Make it automatic so that when you're skipping it, it just feels wrong. And second, fuel for performance. Eat to support your energy levels throughout the day, not just satisfy hunger. Hydrate like your mental clarity depends on it, at least 4 liters a day. Time your nutrition to match your peak performance window. So treat fuel as fuel for your ambitions, not comfort for your emotions. So always be in control. And third, recover with intention. Prioritize sleep like it's the most important meeting of your day. Create boundaries between work stress and physical recovery. Use rest as a strategic tool, not just a sign of weakness. Remember that recovery is where actual strength is being built. Now, if you want to know how to build discipline the real way that works today, watch this video right here and I'll see you there.